Good morning. Hey, so for those of you that are at home, I thought I would uh, update you with the PowerPoint to be able to fill in your notes. To be able to do that, because this is an interactive PowerPoint, I've got to video it. So I'm going to go ahead and get that started now. Okay, so this is the father of genetics, and basically you'll go into Google Classroom and you'll pull up the note-taking sheet in Classworks, and classwork called Father of Genetics, Gregor Mendel, and this is the PowerPoint that you will use to fill that out. Okay. So again, we've already talked about why we don't look like our pet hamster, and basically the reason we don't look like our pet hamster is because the genes that we get from our parents are what is going to give us our traits. And obviously your pet hamster is not your parent, so you didn't get any genes from them. That's why you don't look like them. I'm going to get rid of my picture up here too, if that's okay. Well, I thought it was. There it goes. Okay? No, never mind. Oh well. I guess I will just keep my picture up there. So it's all in your genes. On every gene, there is a code that provides you with your traits. For example, brown eyes are among the many options for eye color. You're going to receive half that code from your mom and half that code from your dad. Depending on how those codes are going to match up, you may have brown eyes, blue eyes, green eyes, or some other variation of eye color. And we're going to take this concept and we're going to look at Gregor Mendel and his famous pea plants. And going back to eye color, like I've said in class, eye color in a lot of your traits is a lot more complex than what we are going to be talking about with this unit. We're going to just look at basically one gene, and pretend that one gene is all that it takes to give you all of your traits. However, in real life, sometimes it's a combination of genes. So maybe a little bit more complex than what we're going to be doing here. So who was this Gregor Mendel guy anyway? He was a monk in the mid 1800s, and he studied plants. He was a naturalist, a botanist that studied plants. So at the time, it was believed that offsprings would inherit a blending of the traits of each parent. So over 8 years, Mendel studied this inheritance by working with pea plants, again because they were easy to breed and because they had a variety of traits. Yeah. So Mendel found in his experiments that traits could be either dominant or recessive. And basically, this is why he is so famous. He discovered that there are genes, there are dominant traits and recessive genes. So this is why he is known as the father of genetics. Okay. So tall plants in pea plants are dominant, and short plants are going to be recessive. He found through his studies that purple flowers were dominant over white flowers. He found that yellow peas were dominant over green peas. Now you're actually in Cami filling the notes out in the sheet, so you need to stop this video whenever you need to get those notes complete. There are also lots of other kinds of traits that pea plants exhibit, like whether or not the peas are wrinkled, the shapes of the leaves. There's all sorts of the shapes of the pea pods. There's all sorts of things that he studied, or that you could study about pea plants. Okay, so how did Mendel's work help genetics? So from all of his studying and research, he developed 2 laws of inheritance, and basically you're not going to have to remember these as far as memorizing them. You'll do that in high school, but go ahead and write these down. The law of segregation says that 2 parts of a gene pair or alleles are going to separate from each other during the formation of the sex cells. So while meiosis is occurring and those sex cells are being made, the alleles are going to split, and one allele is going to go to each of the 4 sex cells. So half the sex cells are going to carry one allele and the other half will carry the other allele. And he also came up with a law of independent assortment that said traits are passed on independently of other traits from parent to offspring. So you might have your mom's hair color and your dad's ears, or your dad's nose, okay? And your mom's eye color, and I don't know, you might have your dad's big feet or something. I don't know. Okay, so these two laws, again, basically are explaining why there's so much genetic variation in a species. Okay, so go ahead and stop this if you need to finish typing that in. So we're going to watch this video really quickly. You have to listen very carefully because they talk really, really fast. But this is going to explain a little bit about what we're going to be working on in this unit.
These days, scientists know how to inherit characteristics from your parents. They're able to calculate probabilities of having a specific trait or getting a genetic disease according to the information they have from the parents and the family history. But how is this possible? To understand how traits pass from one living being to its descendants, we need to go back in time to the 19th century and a man named Gregor Mendel. Mendel was an Austrian monk and biologist who loved to work with plants. By breeding monkey plants he was growing in the monastery's garden, he discovered the principles that rule heredity. In one of the most classic examples, Mendel combined the purebred yellow-seeded plant with the purebred green-seeded plant, and he got only yellow seeds. He called the yellow color trait the dominant one because it was expressed in all the new seeds. Then he let the yellow-seeded hybrid plants self-fertilize, and in this second generation he got both yellow and green seeds, which meant that the green trait had been hidden by the dominant yellow. He called this hidden trait the recessive trait. From those results, Mendel inferred that each trait depends on a pair of factors, one of them coming from the mother and the other from the father. Now we know these factors are called alleles and represent different variations of the gene. Depending on which type of allele Mendel found in each seed, we can have what we call a homozygous seed, where both alleles are identical, and what we call a heterozygous seed, when the two alleles are different. This combination of alleles is known as genotype, and its result, being yellow or green, is called phenotype. To clearly visualize how alleles are distributed amongst descendants, we can use a diagram called the Punnett square. You just place the different alleles on both axes, and then you figure out the possible combinations. Let's look at Mendel's peas, for example. Let's write the dominant yellow allele as an uppercase Y, and the recessive green allele as lowercase y. The uppercase Y always overpowers the lowercase friend, so the only time you get green babies is if you have two lowercase y's. In Mendel's first generation, the yellow homozygous P mom will give each P kid a yellow dominant allele, and the green homozygous P dad will give a green recessive allele. So all the P kids will be yellow heterozygous. Then, in the second generation, when the two heterozygous kids marry, their babies won't have any of the three possible genotypes, showing the two possible phenotypes in a 3-to-1 proportion. But even peas have a lot of characteristics. For example, besides being yellow or green, peas may be round or wrinkled. So we could have all these possible combinations. Round yellow peas, round green peas, wrinkled yellow peas, and wrinkled green peas. To calculate proportions for each genotype and phenotype, we can use a Punnett square too. Of course, this will make it a little more complex. And lots of things are more complicated than peas, like say, people. These days, scientists know a lot more about genetics and heredity. And there are many other ways in which some characteristics are inherited. But it all started with Mendel and his peas.
I love the little pea plants, they're so cute. Okay, let me get rid of this. Alright, so that's our little video. That's going to we're going to be working with the Punnett squares with these simple, what they call Mendelian or one trait genetic problems. So let's finish this paper here where we can get started. Mendel found in his experiments that the different traits could either be, again, dominant or recessive. And we figured out that tall was going to be dominant over recessive short plant. Okay. meaning that the dominant trait was the one that showed up in the population more often. So you see down here the tall plants are going to be more prevalent. There's only one little short plant over here. While the recessive trait hides or recedes into the background. We call those dominant and recessive genes alleles. Okay? Depending on how those alleles pair up, you may see the dominant or the recessive trait. Okay, dominant alleles are represented by a capital letter B. In this case, it's a B. Recessive alleles are always going to be represented by the lowercase letter. Two of the same alleles. Remember, you get an allele from each parent for each trait. So two of the same alleles, if you get the same alleles from both parents, that's what's considered homozygous or purebred. So you could either have both dominant capital letters from your parents or both recessive or lowercase letters from your parents. If you get different alleles, that's what's called heterozygous or a hybrid. So you're going to get a capital letter, a big B, and a little b, a dominant and a recessive. Putting them together can make several different combinations. So you've got those three combinations. You could have homozygous dominant, okay, where you get the two dominants, and you're going to see the dominant trait. You could have the heterozygous dominant. That dominant is going to take over and cover up the recessive right there. So you're going to have the dominant trait. And again, the only time that you're going to see the recessive trait is if you get the alleles that you get from your parents are both recessive. Okay. Alright, so on this one, this looks a little bit different than it does on your note-taking sheet. You're just going to basically just fill in the blanks, okay? So the letter combination of alleles is called the genotype. For example, in the tall versus short plant above, if T is your dominant and a little t is your recessive, what would the genotypes be that would give you a dominant or a tall plant? Okay, so there's two of them. You could have the homozygous dominant, or you could have the heterozygous dominant. That would both give you a tall plant. And then again, the only way you're going to get the recessive is if both alleles that you get from your parents are the recessive alleles. They're not being hidden. Okay. The physical expression, again, is called the phenotype. This is what you actually see. This is what the trait looks like. So in a pea plant, example above, all of the alleles are the genotypes that will give you a dominant. These plants are going to be tall. Okay. And any of the recessive plants, what you're going to see is a short plant. So now let's practice. We're going to learn about young rat love, and don't laugh. Okay, so two young rats are in love and they want to start a family. So we're going to see if we can predict what their children will look like. We'll start by looking at the alleles that control fur color. And keep in mind that a rat has two genes for every trait, one from mom and one from dad. One of those two genes gets passed along to its offspring. We have a male with a genotype big A, little a, so this would be heterozygous. And this is the agouti, or the brown and blacks mix phenotype. So the hair or the fur color is going to be brown and black. The female has genotype little a, which is homozygous recessive or purebred recessive, and it's going to have the black fur color phenotype. So let's figure out what color fur their offspring might have. And I'm actually going to get out of the PowerPoint and go into the thing that you're working on, because this PowerPoint is kind of messed up at this point. So let me get out of here. If I can figure out how to do that. Okay, and I'm going to go into Google Classroom and go where you're at. Okay. Okay, so this is where you should have been putting all of your notes. So I'll open this up in Candy where I can type into it too. Okay, so we are down here to Young Rat Love here. Okay, so again, this is talking about the parents. You've got one parent that is the genotype, a heterozygous or a hybrid, and you've got one that is a homozygous recessive. So you're going to actually, in these, you're going to put the parents, and it doesn't matter where you put the parents, okay? You could put mom up here at the top, or you could put dad. It doesn't really matter. Okay, so we've got one. We're going to put that there, and then we're going to put another one. That's going to be lowercase. So it takes just a second to get used to setting these up. Okay, and we're going to put mom over here. Okay, you may remember doing these Punnett squares in previous classes. Seems like I've seen some stuff in the hallway where y'all have done this before. Okay, so these are the parents on the outside, okay, and then what's on the inside here are your offspring, the potential offspring that you could get, okay. So what you're going to do is you're going to bring, I always start with my dominants, okay, and bring those down and put those in the front. If you put those in the front, it's just going to be easier because it's what you're used to seeing, okay. You're going to bring this dominant A down, and you're going to bring this recessive A over. Okay, so you're going to fill out each one with a parent. This parent is given a dominant, and this one is given a recessive. Okay, same thing here. I'm going to bring that big A down, and there's the little A from mom. Okay, over here, dad has a recessive A, and mom has a recessive A to give. Same thing here. Alright, so these are the offspring, potential offspring that you could have with this pairing of these two parents. Okay, so what does that mean with fur color? Okay, so if you look over here, the genotypes, again, remember we've got two genotypes here on the offspring. We've got this one, and then we have this one. Okay, and it's asking you what percentage of what percentage that will occur. So this is 100% of the possible offspring, and it looks like 1 out of 2, or 2 out of 4, I'm sorry, 2 out of 4 are going to be this genotype, and 2 out of 4 will be this genotype. So that means if you break that down into percentage, half are going to be heterozygous and half will be homozygous recessive. So that means that 50% of them, 50% will be this one, and then the other 50%, trying to get this all squared up here, that's kind of hard. Okay, 50% will be that one. Alright, and when we talk about phenotype, that's what the trait looks like, and we're talking about fur color here. So this one here is because the agouti, or the brown and black combination of fur, is the dominant color. That's going to occur 50% of the time. Oops. Well, 50% of the time. And then this one over here is going to give you the recessive color, which is black. Okay. So that's you're going to have black fur babies 50% of the time. I'm not too good at this. Okay, does that make sense? All right. So when you're finished with this, you're going to go and you're going to turn that in. Let's see here. Actually, oh, we've got some more here. Okay, so let's do these real quick. Okay, I'm thinking that that's the same thing. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and do this right here. So on each one of these, you're going to identify these as either homozygous, purebred, or heterozygous or hybrid. So these two words are interchangeable, and when we get to our problems, you will see that they may use one of two words. They look the same. Okay, I want you to practice this word here for now, and I also want you to put out whether it's dominant. It's going to have the dominant phenotype or the recessive phenotype. Okay, so this one right here would be homozygous, because it is the same, and you're going to have the dominant phenotype, homozygous dominant. Okay. Let's see if I can just do it like this. This one will be heterozygous because the two alleles are different. But you're going to have the dominant phenotype because of this capital letter here. It's going to dominate or hide the other one. Alright, this one would be homozygous because it's the same, but it's going to be recessive. So you'll get the recessive phenotype here. And here's another one. The alleles are different, so that makes it heterozygous. But there's a dominant one, so it's going to have the dominant phenotype. And they're both dominant, so homozygous, they're both the same. And of course it'll have the dominant phenotype. Okay. Alright, so you finish these over here, you're going to do it the same way. Okay. And down here is another problem. You're going to set it up the same way. Again, we're talking about dimples or no dimples. This male, and he is heterozygous. Okay, so you're going to put him here. There's my capital D, and I'm going to go over here and put my small d. He's going to mate with a female who is homozygous recessive. So remember, homozygous recessive is going to be 2 lowercase. Okay, so it'll be, that will be the homozygous recessive. Okay, so that's the female. What would be the female's genotype? Okay, well, we just said it is homozygous recessive. It would be DD. Okay, we're going to complete this Punnett square to find the probability that they would produce children with dimples. Okay, so again, you're going to distribute each one of these down. That big D, I always put the dominant one first. You're going to bring this one down and bring this one over. Okay. Bring the big D down and a little d over. Again, we've got the recessives here. Okay. So here are our genotypes. We have 2 genotypes. We have heterozygous. It's going to occur 2 out of 4 times, or 50% of the time. And then we have this one here is homozygous recessive, but you're going to have 50% of the time. So complete the Punnett square, find out the probability that they will produce a child with dimples. Well, these are your dimple children right here. So 2 out of 4, or 50% of the time, they're going to have children with dimples. Okay. Alright, let's look at this one. Brown eyes and blue eyes. And again, I'm just going to stress to you that eye color is a lot more complicated than what we're going over here. So just keep that in mind. Okay. A woman is heterozygous for brown eyes. So the woman is heterozygous for brown eyes. What does that look like? Okay, if she's heterozygous, she's going to have 2 different alleles. Okay, and she marries a man and has children with a man who's also heterozygous. So the male over here is going to also have 2 different alleles. Okay, what is the probability? Draw a Punnett square showing the types of offspring and show the probability that their child would have blue eyes. Okay, so we're going to bring these down, of course, and these over. Okay, so this one right here would be capital B, or homozygous dominant. That would be heterozygous dominant. We're going to bring this one over since it's the capital. Big B. That would be heterozygous dominant. And these would be, okay, that one's going to be a little different, right? Okay. So let's look at these. If brown eyes is dominant, blue eyes is recessive. Here's our genotypes here. We've got homozygous dominant or purebred dominant. This is definitely going to be a brown-eyed baby. These are heterozygous or hybrids. The dominant is there. It's carrying the recessive trait, the little b, but it's going to be hidden. So these are both going to be brown-eyed babies. Okay, so 75% of the time, 3 out of 4 babies will have brown eyes. But this one right here, look, okay, this one is a blue-eyed baby. Okay, so let's see here. Let's see if we can do a shape here. Okay, oops, wrong color. Here's our blue-eyed baby. Okay, and that's going to occur 1 out of 4 times, or 1 out of 4. Okay, so that's what percentage? If it's 1 out of 4, that would be 25%. Yes. Okay. So the answer right here would be 25%. Y'all see that? Okay, and when we're in there, I may ask you to list out these genotypes. So I may have something set up for you that has genotypes, phenotypes, and then the percentage of occurrence. Okay, so if you see something like this, let's see here. And if I do that, I'll have it already set up for you, so you won't have to type this in. But up underneath here, you would type in, okay, we've got, let me do a different color here, where that was one of them. And the phenotype for that would be brown eyes. And the occurrence of this one happening would be 25%, because it's just right there, 1 out of 4. All right. Then we have also this genotype, sorry. It's also going to give you brown eyes. That's going to occur 50% of the time, because you've got 2 out of 4. And then the one we've already talked about, there's your blue-eyed baby. That's going to happen 25% of the time. Okay, do y'all see that? So I may ask you to set it up in a table kind of thing like this right here. All right, that's it. Now what we're going to do next, so once you get this filled in, finish filling it in, go ahead and click enter and get your points. And then you're going to go in, let me go out of here. Oops, I didn't mean to go all the way out. You're going to go in and do the one that says you're such a square, and that's practice. Let me get back in here and show you. I'm sorry this is so long. Okay, so go back into classwork. It's taking its time this morning. Okay, so we just did this one. You're going to make sure that you turn it in where you can get those points. And then you're such a square. This is where you're going to go in and you're going to practice what we've just done. Okay, for each one of these, you're going to indicate whether it's heterozygous or homozygous. So again, remember homozygous, the alleles are the same. Okay, heterozygous, the alleles are different. All right. And also go ahead and get it in your mind to go ahead and say homozygous dominant. Okay. So this would be homozygous, but it would be recessive. So if you'll go ahead and get yourself used to seeing when you see 2 lowercase, go ahead and put that recessive on there, and that will remind you what it looks like, what the trait looks like. Okay, and each one of these, it gives you the genotype, and you're going to determine what it looks like. What's the phenotype? Okay, so if tall plants are dominant to short plants, this one is going to give you a tall plant. Okay, this one will also give you a tall plant because it's got that dominant allele there. And this is the only time you're going to see a short plant. Okay, so it tells you what phenotype is dominant and what's recessive. You just got to know if there's a capital letter there, it's going to be dominant. Okay, if there's no capital letter, it's recessive. On this section, it's giving you the phenotype. We're talking about hair. In this case, straight hair is dominant to curly hair. So if straight hair is dominant, there are two genotypes that are going to give you straight hair. Okay, what are they? Okay, what's the only way you'll get curly hair, which is the recessive. And down here, you're just setting up these Punnett squares. Okay, remember that once you figured out what the parents are, and they're giving you the parents right here. Okay, you're going to put the parents out here to the side, and I've got them highlighted to remind you. And then your offspring are going to be in here. You're just going to carry these over and carry these down. Okay, and then answer the questions. All right, down here, I've drawn the boxes for you. Use your vocabulary words. It's going to be really important that if it doesn't tell you what the genotype of the parents are, but it gives you some of those vocabulary words, you got to know what those words mean so you can create yourself a cheat sheet. Okay, and we're doing this in class. Create yourself a cheat sheet of all of these words. Okay, and I'll put this on Google Classroom where you can create yourself a cheat sheet too. Just get you an index card, and that way you'll have it here where you can look at it as you are working on these problems and won't have to go back from screen to screen, because everything we're doing right now is not in our notebook that you can just look at. It's in Google Classroom. So I'm going to let you do a cheat sheet. Okay. All right. That was the lesson. What I'd like for you to do is double check, make sure that you've turned in all of your work. If you've not turned in your brain food from last week or a week before last when we were in school, of course it was paper and pencil. Just snap a picture of it and email it to me. So if you have any questions, shoot me an email, give me a text, something. I'll be glad to help you. We can Zoom together if you need to go over some of these problems if you get confused. So, miss you. Can't wait to see you. Enjoy your break, I guess, if you can. I hope everyone at your house is semi-healthy. If somebody's sick, I hope they are not sick. So that's what I meant by that. All right, I will talk to you later. Let me know if I can help you. See ya.